Hey, it's Noctis. Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
What's up, guys? You're kicking off. It's Valentine EX Turk, and we're gonna go into another Final Fantasy discussion. We're gonna be talking about the Final Fantasy universe, or it's really the compilation of Final Fantasy 15, to be quite honest. But I call it the universe because that's what Square Enix calls it. So we're gonna be talking about 3 villains from the universe, except for Arden and main game villains. So Arden, Idolus, and Ravis will not be part of this. This will only accomplish stuff that are universe exclusive, such as Kingsglaive, such as Episode Gladiolus, such as Episode Prompto. Now, we don't got very much on Episode Ignis, so we're only going to be using the villains known. We're going to be using General Glocka, Gilgamesh, and Versteel. And what I'm talking about right now is what I think is the personally best villains and going down. General Glocka is the one who had a lot of impact in Kingsglaive. Killed King Regis and did every order, but at the same time, General Glocka did it under orders. General Glocka even though his motives were to get his home back, he still did things under orders. So I couldn't consider him being a good villain, except for the fact he was hard to beat because of the armor he had. But even in battle, still, his character isn't as good as I thought. Because he was only following orders. He was only doing orders. So we're gonna take General Glocka and say he is the best, but at least he ranks 3rd in the villains department of the Final Fantasy 15 universe exclusives only. So, moving on to Episode Gladiolus. Now, again, Ravis is not counted, even though Ravis is the one that caused Gladiolus to go disappear for a while because Gladiolus lost his pride being beat by Ravis. Ravis is not going to be inside this part of Final Fantasy 15. We're going to be talking about Gilgamesh. Now, Gilgamesh was really not a villain, to be quite honest. He was only a guy that tests you, but only if you didn't mind risking your life, because the test could kill you, pretty much. The test could kill you if you take the trial of Gilgamesh, because Gilgamesh, in order to undergo his training, you got to be strong in the first place, have the will, and you got to be pretty powerful to actually enter his stuff, which I guess, but at the same time, I guess he's not really an antagonist, he's a test antagonist, to be quite honest. Gladiolus ends up beating him, which is a test that his father turned down for good reasons, because how tough Gilgamesh is, but Gilgamesh's motive is to find a successor of his power. Kor wasn't worthy, and so was Gladiolus, and Gladiolus' father, Clarus, was not worthy, but Gladiolus was pretty much worthy, but Gladiolus wanted to protect his king. Now, the test is to get a perfect king shield, which Gladiolus becomes even a better king shield to defeat him. But the point is, he's only a test. He's only there to test your will. So, I couldn't really call him villain, but I would at least put him at least number 2 in the Final Fantasy 15 universe. So, this brings Versteel from Episode Prompto. Now, Episode Prompto was a controversial DLC because of the gunplay and people like, it's like they're just Cerberus and all that stuff. Even if you didn't like the gameplay, I would have to say Versteel actually is number 1 out of the villains bracket based off of the fact he made an impact not only in Prompto's life, but he made an impact to the whole Final Fantasy 15 universe. He was the one who had Idolus fake a peace treaty. He was the one to make General Glocka kill King Regis and do the things he did. And he was the one who constructed a diamond weapon which leveled the whole entire city, and any civilians you wasn't able to escape got killed. So pretty much a lot of people died and a lot more casualties were done by Versteel. And Versteel was manipulating Idolus alongside Arden. Arden and Versteel behind the curtain was manipulating Idolus and spoon-feeding Idolus to do all this. So, partially, this is also Versteel's fault as well. So he had more impact on the story. So pretty much when Gladiolus lost to Ravens, causing him to take the test of Gilgamesh, when he was forced to take the trial of Gilgamesh. When he was forced to take the trial of Gilgamesh, Gladiolus. Gladiolus is beat by Ravus, but Ravus was also their plan. Remember, Versteel constructed Ravus, and Arden and Ravus were pretty much put on the same team in the Niflheim Empire. Which I'm pretty sure Versteel was the one to tell Arden to have Ravus fight Gladiolus. Being a strategist he is. Remember, Versteel's a strategist. He's the one who creates a strategy. Remember, Idolus Outercraft is the public head, pretty much the figurehead, pretty much like the president. Pretty much, he's just the public figurehead. Idolus is a governor position. Versteel is a scientist and strategist of the Niflheim, and Ravus is the high commander or new general of the Niflheim Empire. That took Glocka's place, but that's not the point. The point I'm trying to say is that, Versteel was probably the one that manipulated Ravus to attack Noctis, hoping that Gladiolus would defend him, and they get knocked back. So, pretty much, episode Gladiolus was caused by episode's Prompto's villain Versteel, as well as the events of Kingsglaive. As you see in the tapes, he's the one who actually started all of this. And remember, Idolus may be the leader and the Emperor, but remember, Emperor is a public head, a public figure. It's kind of like Hojo's relationship with President Shinra. President Shinra only does fun and approves stuff for being a leader. But Hojo does most of the strategies. The scientists in Final Fantasy games are always the strategist and manipulating the leader and figurehead. So, I'd have to say Versteel had the most impact, so Versteel would be considered the best villain in the Final Fantasy 15 universe saga. Because we're not going to count main story villains. Now, people are going to say, oh, he was. But no, they cut him out and put him in episode Prompto. You only find him in episode Prompto. You only see him in one cutscene with Idolus. But remember, he was the one who convinced Idolus not to kill Luna Freya. He's like, we may do well to take her alive, because if you take her alive, Noctis will come. The Six will come, which is Noctis. And then they can kill Noctis right then and there. So Versteel would actually be the best villain of the Final Fantasy 15 universe. And this is my opinion, so please be respectful in here. No trolling and stuff like that. You'll get banned. So may the crystal be with you.